I thought I was being a respectful tourist in Cuba until I made one innocent mistake that landed me in a room with 3 Cuban officials for 2 hours. What I did next either saved my trip or made everything 10 times worse. By the end of this video, you'll know the one rule that 90% of tourists break without even realizing it, and why ignoring it could turn your Cuban dream vacation into your worst nightmare. But first, let me show you exactly how it all went wrong. The air was thick with the scent of strong coffee and cheap cigars. Across a metal desk, 2 men in crisp, military-style uniforms stared at me. The sound echoed in the small, windowless office. I had been in Cuba for less than a week trying to be a good tourist. But here I was, in a back room at the airport, my passport in their hands. I had broken a rule. Was it the rum I bought, the photos I took? I came here to see the real Cuba beyond the resorts. I wanted to eat and drink where the locals did, to understand their world. But none of that mattered now. The friendly smiles were replaced by cold official expressions. Waiting. My mind raced through the worst-case scenarios. Being sent back, or worse. The rules here felt ancient and unwritten. I was a guest in their complicated, proud, and beautiful country. And I had messed up. Finally, one of the men pushed a small plastic bag across the desk toward me, the source of all this trouble. "This is not allowed," he said, pointing at the bag. A simple act that was a serious offense in the complex world of Cuban regulations. My journey into the heart of Cuba had taken an unexpected and frightening turn. It all started so simply at Jose Marti International Airport in Havana. I had a fantastic week walking the Malecon at sunset, listening to incredible music and connecting with artists. I had a few Cuban convertible pesos or CUC left. I thought I would take them home as a souvenir. I went through the first security check without any issues. But then a uniformed officer pulled me aside. He asked me to step into a small office. They asked me to empty my pockets, and the moment they saw the money, their expressions changed. He asked me, "You take this from Cuba?" He explained that taking the currency home was illegal. Illegal? To take a few banknotes home? I had read so many travel guides, but not one mentioned this. It felt like a trap. I stood there feeling foolish as the reality of my situation started to sink in. The officer explained the rule I had broken. The Cuban convertible peso, or CUC, was a closed currency created by the government specifically for use within Cuba's tourist economy. It had no official value outside the country, therefore taking it out of Cuba was strictly prohibited. For tourists, this is incredibly confusing. We use it for hotels, meals, and classic car rides. It's an unwritten rule, a piece of local knowledge that visitors are just expected to know. The officer told me that they stop tourists every single day for the exact same reason. I apologized sincerely and explained that I did not know about the law. The 2 men looked at each other. Finally, the main officer turned back to me. He pointed to the money and then pointed to a trash can. "Get rid of the evidence and we can forget this ever happened." A wave of relief washed over me. I quickly picked up the CUC bills, walked over to the small bin and dropped them in. It was a strange feeling, throwing away what felt like real money. But it was a small price to pay for my freedom. I turned back to the officials and gave them a respectful nod and another gracias. One of them cracked a very small, almost invisible smile. He gestured toward the door. I grabbed my things and walked out of that little room, back into the noise and bustle of the airport. My trip wasn't ruined. In fact, that tense encounter became one of my most memorable stories. It taught me a valuable lesson. The experience didn't sour my view of Cuba. If anything, it deepened my understanding of it. It's a country with its own logic, its own rules born from a unique and difficult history. As a traveler, it's not my place to judge those rules, but to do my best to understand and respect them. My mistake was born from ignorance, not malice, and thankfully, the officials recognized that. They could have been much harder on me. They could have made me pay a fine or miss my flight. Instead, they chose to teach me a lesson with a simple, firm gesture. It was a moment of quiet human interaction that went beyond language and politics. That interaction reminded me that traveling is about more than just seeing new places. It's about navigating different cultures with humility. Sometimes, no matter how much you prepare, you will make a mistake. You will misunderstand a custom or break a rule you didn't know existed. How you handle that moment is what matters. Being respectful, apologetic, and calm can make all the difference. Arguing or acting entitled is the worst thing you can do. You are a guest. It is a privilege to be there, not a right. That small, tense room in the Havana airport taught me more than any guidebook ever could. So here is my advice for anyone traveling to Cuba, or any country with a complex system. Before you leave for the airport, make sure you have spent all your local currency or exchanged it back. Don't try to take CUC or cup home as a souvenir. It is not worth the risk and the stress. Check the specific rules for the country you are visiting, especially regarding currency. And if you do find yourself in a small room with serious-looking officials, remember to be humble, be honest, and be respectful. Your trip and your story will be much better for it.